Hello, this is Nathan with Unit Connect, the online property management software. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to add a tenant to a vacant unit within a property. So I'm going to go over to my Properties tab from the dashboard, and this is where we can see all our properties. In a previous video, I showed you how to create a new property, so please reference that if you haven't made it this far. And so I'm going to use that property, which is labeled John's property, and we can see that it has one unit with a vacant tenant. So I'm going to click on this vacant unit and add a new tenant. So once I've clicked on it, we can scroll down and see our related actions tab, and below that we have new tenant. So I'm going to click on new tenant. Here we are on the new tenant wizard, and we can see that that's broken down by these sections here at the top. And so we're going to be walking through each of those in this video. The first one is we're going to need to add the new tenant. So in this example, the tenant's name is Tim Smith. Premise use I'll ignore for the time being. Unit address is the current address of the unit, and I can specify where to send payments to, either the management address or the owner of the building. So I'll just leave it as the default for the management address and go ahead to the next section. Here I'm going to be entering all the lease details, and so for this particular lease, which is a residential lease, we'll start it at the beginning of the year, the 1st of January 2020. The end date will be at the end of the year, December 31st, 2020. Possession date will be the 1st, and the rent start date will also be the 1st. We can also change our default settings for the rent due date, but we'll leave those at the 5th. We'll also leave our default setting for the late fee, which will be after the 5th of each month. In this example, we'll have the deposit amount be 1 month's rent, which in this case will be $1,200. If you would like the rent amount deposit to increase as the rent increases, then you'll want to mark this checkbox here. For now, I'll just leave it unmarked. Following, we will ignore the tax, CAM, and insurance section as that's applicable for a commercial lease. For the admin fee, we'll also leave that blank, and if you want to add a late fee, you can add that here. In this example, I'll have a flat rate fee of $100. All right, that completes this section. Go ahead to the next section. Here we are in the rent breakdown section, and I'm going to go ahead and add that manually by clicking Add Rent Breakdown here at the top. I'm going to put our lease details, which again is the 1st of the month, 2020 through December. And for the amount, I'll put our monthly rent, which is $1,200. And click Save. And so now we have that here in our rent breakdown tab. If I scroll to the bottom, we have an area for additional charges, and additional charges would be applicable for anything that you want to charge the tenant in addition to the rent. So an example of this may be a utility. So if I want to add a utility, I'll just click on Add Additional Charge. For the start date, I'll put it at the beginning of the lease, and we'll say that we want this to happen on a monthly basis. We'll use a description of utility. We'll put the amount in this example at $75. We'll put our end date as the end of the lease. So again, December 31st, 2020. And for our category, we have default categories that are set. These are also adjustable in the admin section. For this example, I'll just select utilities, water, and click Save. So now that we can see that posted here under our additional charges. If we wanted to modify it or delete it, we can click these tabs at the bottom. In addition, we can also add additional charges by, again, going through that workflow. All right, so that completes this section. I'm going to go ahead to the next page, and our last page in the new tenant wizard. This is the notes section where you can add related notes for this particular tenant, if that's applicable. We also have custom fields. I'm going to leave those blank in this example and click Finish. Do you want to proceed? Yes. All right, so now we've successfully added a new tenant to the vacant unit of this property. So if I go back to our Properties tab, so now that we're in the Properties tab, I'm going to go ahead and click on John's property, and we'll see that our vacant unit now has our new tenant, Tim Smith. All right, that concludes this video on how to add a tenant to a vacant unit within a property. My name is Nathan with Unit Connect. I hope you found this video valuable. Please be sure to check out other videos on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much and have a great day.